My bad on that, guys. We're trying to get G Bush in here, but he'll be here shortly. He's read all my texts. I'm not sure why he's not. Yeah, G Bush is here. Thank you, G Bush, for saving the day, brother. Little late.
Listen.
For a sec. We got a lot to get into. I'm not gonna even wait. G, I'll let you start first, man. That was just it's just not good enough. At the end of the day, it's just not good enough.
Yeah. At this point, I don't even, as you can tell, this is like a 7-step program. I'm not even angry no more. I've come to, you go through the denial, and then you go through the grief, and then you go through the trauma, and then you relapse, and then you get right back here. And now it's just McNuggets. It's the same thing every week, though.
Yeah.
It's the same thing every week. It's just a little different. You come out, Kevin Stefanski hits you with the 10-play drives and the run looking good, and we've talked about it ad nauseum. All that scripted stuff is great. You score every week first. But what happens when the other team starts getting around, when they start seeing what you're doing, when they get a beat on what you're trying to do? And guess what? Everything is shut down. You scored 10 points quickly until that last score by Amari Cooper. You had nothing. Zero. Couldn't move the ball, couldn't do anything. And to me, it's just like Groundhog's Day. It's just a different script, different team. Don't matter if you got blue jerseys, red jerseys, pink jerseys, brown jerseys. You come in, you run the ball against the Browns, and you're going to get what you're going to get.
Yeah, there's a couple different angles we're going to take. Just so everybody knows, it's me and G Bush today. Adam the Bull's resting his voice. He will be back on UCSS tomorrow, but we want to give him the day off, so he will not be on the postgame show. Jeff Lloyd's dealing with some 30-mile-an-hour winds down in New Jersey, so he will not be on. So it's just me and G Bush. We're going to get to a ton of your guys' comments and questions and concerns in a little bit. But I think there's two things that we have to get to first, G, as I block a porn bot out of here. Hold on.
Hey, the porn sites are off and running.
Listen, what people don't realize is as we're doing this, I'm also the moderator, which is why I, sometimes you see me looking off to the side. I'm looking at these messages, and that's why I miss a bunch of these, so I apologize.
Actually, you know what? I could do that too. We could block, yes.
Yeah, if you see porn bots in there, let's block all porn. It's a no porn show. This is a Browns misery therapy session for everyone out there. But two things, G. Bush. Two things, and we'll get into more after this. One, Kevin Stefanski is really, really, really good at certain parts of being an NFL head coach. Really good. And I think he's really, 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 really bad at others. And right now, and once again, he's not going to get fired till Watson comes back. I'm not advocating for him to be fired till Watson comes back. He's going to start next season as the Browns head coach. Whether we like it, whether you like it, it's the reality. He's not going anywhere, so stop crying for his head. The issue with Kevin Stefanski is now, the more I watch this Browns team, and this is my first year watching them in this observation lens, the bads outweigh the goods. And I think he is a really smart offensive coach for the most part, but everything else on this team, the lack of oversight that he seems to be giving to the other two phases is an issue. And when you look at Mike Prefer, and today's not the defense. Today was not on the defense. I thought the defense played pretty well today, G. We'll get to that in a sec. Special teams was atrocious. And the offense, after that first drive, went 29 minutes of game time without doing anything offensively. And against the Bills team that was struggling offensively in the first half, you had a chance to go out there, cut their throat, let them bleed out, and put this game out of reach before they warmed up. Because they were a different team in that first 20 minutes of the game than they were the latter 40. And it was terrible, G. And I'm watching this just in shock at how what was going on. And I see April, and April's one of the people who's always in the chat, and we appreciate April. She said the run defense was terrible. Yeah, the run defense was terrible late, but they held the Bills to 6 field goals and 2 touchdowns. Like, if you tell me they're going to hold them to 6 field goals, it's not ideal, but they weren't terrible today. And hold on, we got our first super chat, G. We're going to read every super chat we see here. We promise you today, we only got 2 of us here. This is from Freebird Entertainment. Kevin Stefanski is average at best as offensive coordinator, horrific as a head coach. He's not been good lately. That is for sure.
Here's what I'll say. And we talked about this a little bit before when it comes to the run defense or whatever the defense is. They gave up, as the last time I checked, they gave up another 170 yards in the run game.
Yeah.
And when you give up 170 yards in the run game, this is why I try to explain to my colleagues so much. They look at it on a surface level. And when you run the ball for 170 yards, what that means is you can get anything else you want to. Because when you get 170, the focus will be, I got to stop getting gashed on the ground. I got to do something to stop that. And what that does, if you have a good quarterback, right? Josh Allen was impressed today. This was what he just going to go back and they're going to watch the tape. They're going to say this is the easiest game he played all year. You know why? Because he knows I got the arm and I got the talent to get these guys involved whenever I want. That is why. Think about it just earlier. Stefon Diggs goes to his head coach. He's talking to his head coach like, listen, what's up? What's up? Why ain't I getting the ball? He pulled him closer. McDermott say, look, bro, we working with something. Hey, listen, this right here, this team out here, we can make these cats fold. We're going to run the ball early. We'll get you involved later when they suck up a little bit. But trust me, we got you. And guess what they did? The Browns couldn't stop the run. Josh Allen was chilling all game. And they said, we're not going to run Josh Allen. We don't need to. We'll run Singletary. And we're going to get Diggs open later on in the game. And that's what they did.
You know what's crazy, too? They dig up 172 rushing yards. And once again, part of it's circumstantial. They ran the ball a ton in the second half. They didn't need to throw the ball. So just like we say, Chubb and his carries, he didn't get 20 carries, so they lost again. And he didn't. This was Chubb's worst game, maybe as a pro, G. Yep. I mean, he had 12 yards. I'm looking at his stats right now. He had 12 yards on one rush. He had 13 carries for 7 yards the rest of the game. 12 carries for 7 yards the rest of the game. Shout out to Jeffrey Shardy and CMS Entertainment for the Super Chats. CMS Network, by the way, for the Super Chats. We appreciate y'all. You. He wasn't good enough. The offensive line wasn't good enough. Early in the game, they came out, and I want to ask you this, G. Do you think, obviously we know Stefanski's really good at scripting that first 15 play, that first drive. I thought it was pretty evident, too, Buffalo was not there early on, whether it was the travel, the delay, the snow, that was not the Buffalo team we saw the second or the last 3 quarters of the game in the first quarter. Do you give more credit to Stefanski for scheming that up? Because mind you, Brissett scrambled for a 3rd and long, made a hell of a pass on a 3rd and long, and then Cooper, I don't want to say bailed him out, it was a good throw, but Cooper made a great catch on that touchdown. So do you give Stefanski more credit for that opening quarter domination that we saw, or do you attribute that more to the Bills just not mentally being ready to play this football game out of the gate?
I think when you come out in a game, there's always an adjustment period in which teams are filling each other out. So that's every game. But I think it was a little more today because the Bills obviously trying to get back and allocate. They didn't even really practice all last week, right? They had the equivalent of what people would seem to be a Thursday night practice. But here's why sometimes, I said this on the post or pregame show, and I said, look, when you look at Kevin Stefanski's offense, we give him a lot of credit for his efficiency or with the yards they put up or the stats they put up, and they look at it as in a vacuum. And I keep trying to tell people it's not just the stats he put up. Yes, it's a top 10 offense. Yes, the offense looks like it's cool. But if you watch Kevin Stefanski's offense, their offense is not overly complex. It's predicated on the fact that I have a dominant running game. When he was in Minnesota, he had Cook. When he had, listen, you got Dalvin Cook, he's going to get buckets. When he's in Cleveland, you got Chubb and Hunt. So when you got those guys and you're running it very well, guess what happens? The defense has to respect that. So his offense is predicated on the fact that I got better guys than you and I got an advantage. Now, what happens when you stop the run? Now you got to get into predictable downs and distance. And when you look at his passing game with Jacoby, his passing game with Jacoby Brissett, his passing game with Case Keenum is not that good. They don't threaten you downfield for deep shots. It's more dink and dunk. It's the backs. It's the screen game and an occasional slant over the middle to some of your guys and tight ends. That doesn't scare you because if you could get them behind the chains, chances are they're not going to be able to complete all those 3rd and 12s. That's why I said That's why it's foolhardy to throw the ball that much. And as you can see, Josh Allen, if he wanted to, he got enough skill set that he can go back there and throw it every single play, and he can complete it no matter what you're doing. That's why it's a difference when I say you can't have Jacoby Brissett throwing the ball 35, 40 times. And people say, well, they ran it good enough. And I'm like, you don't understand. It's rudimentaries. They don't have the personnel to do that. So you see what happens when you take the running game away from the Cleveland Browns. They've yet to show you that they can beat you down the field or harm you in big plays.
No, I mean, they're a one-dimensional offense, or they're not meant to be a one-dimensional offense. Jacoby Brissett is not built for that. They don't have the receivers for that. This is from P. Rothstein, by the way. I hope ownership has seen enough of these coaches. G. Bush, I'm riding with you. They may have to fire everybody again. And Daily D1499 says, we really had a 34-yard field goal blocked. We also have we'll get to all that stuff in a sec. We're gonna read all the super chats today. G Money Uptown, Eagle sign Linval, Joseph, and Sue because their interior is bad. Shake my head. The season over. If they lose next week, I bet post interviews Cleveland players gonna be smiling. Listen, the season's over right now. Next week is irrelevant. Put a fork in them. They're dead. It's over. If you expect Watson coming back, we could look forward to what he brings to this team and what he can do on the field to get ready for next year. But their chances of a playoff is over. The game just went final. G. Bush, 31-23 is the final. DPJ scored a garbage time touchdown to cover the spread. So
a lot of cats salty right
now. Great teams cover, but this game it's crazy, Gina. I'm going to throw this out here to you. The final score is an 8-point game. Before I do this is from Jeff Schlosser here. We're going to read every super chat today because it's just two of us. So keep sending the super chats. We appreciate it. I'm at the point to just get Deshaun back, get him ready for next year, try to finish ahead of Pittsburgh at least. Yeah, I mean, that's
Jeff. That's where we at. It's about, at this point, we just trying to see what Deshaun looking like and put up some nice points and prognosticate about it. That's it.
And this is from Donnie M. He said, hey, fellas, rough one today, but on the bright side, Chubb will have more carryover carries for next week. Hey, Chubb, they tried running. They tried running him today, though, G. They tried running him. UPJ is a bright spot. How about Anthony Schwartz making a tackle on special teams? That he did something. Thank you, Donnie M. G. Bush, here's what I really want to look at, though, at this game, because this is kind of the baffling part to me. They lose by 8. It was never that close. No. But when you look at the game in general, I think the Browns had so many opportunities to win. Like they killed themselves more than Buffalo beat them. And it's crazy to say in a game where you were down 31-16 and you were down 28-10 for the majority. But you go back to the fumble in the second quarter with the backup center when you had all the momentum. You go back to a 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 1 sneak behind a backup center. Why you go QB sneak on those plays back to back? I don't care if Brissett is the QB sneak god. You have your backup. You have your backup.
No, it's the third backup.
Yeah,
it was Harris, then it was Pochitz, then it's Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah, so you have your third guy in, and it's not like he'd been snapping the ball great all game. He had a couple low snaps. Brissett had to bail him out. So I don't understand that play call. You had a chance to get off the field on a couple of 3rd and longs, and you couldn't just get that one stop. You have a short field goal blocked. The Browns' self-inflicted wounds, I feel like, beat them more in this game than Buffalo did, and that's saying something because the Browns didn't play well overall anyway. But it was the self-inflicted wounds that you're going to look back at and say, how in the world did we not have a more realistic chance of winning this late?
Well, you see, this is where it gets demoralizing because I saw somebody in the chat say it too. They said this is worse than the 1-16 team. And the reason that he's correct, and the reason why a lot of people be mad at me on Twitter when I be putting it is because they don't want to go back there. I get it. Y'all don't.
D. Bush, I forgot too. One thing I forgot in that. How many drop passes today, especially the touchdowns? That's another thing you could add to the list.
Farrell Brown dropped one.
Harrison Bryant dropped one.
Harrison Bryant. He didn't get his feet down on one. I think he mistimed that jump.
And he dropped one. Yep.
Yeah, and he dropped one. So you know, it's just overall when you got talent on the team and you can see it. At least when we was 1-31 in 2 years, you know, when we hung our hat on, we had Cody Kessler and bums playing. We knew these dudes were never going to play. We were playing for the picks to get to the people that we got now, right? So you were losing those games. But here's the hard part now. The hard part is watching these games, and as a person who watches football and watches it a lot, I can sit there and I can get there and I can look at the game and already tell. I said, no, that's not enough. They lost that game by the fumble. Because when you're behind and you got a team that is less talented than another team, you got to capitalize on everything. So when they had the momentum, they were running the ball. They were up 10-3, I believe. They could have had an opportunity to go up 17-3 and really put the straps to the Bills, but they couldn't do it. So Buffalo comes back, and then you get an opportunity with Josh Allen. And he makes a couple throws, gets them right back in the game. Then they score before half, come back and score again, and now they're up. After that, the game is over. It's finished.
Yeah. G Money Uptown also says self-inflicted is bad coaching. I agree to a large extent, but at the same time, Kevin Stefanski didn't make Pharaoh Brown drop that touchdown pass in the end zone. Pharaoh, I mean, yes, a lot of that is, but I don't think it's all on coaching with that. There were some mental mistakes. Especially from the receivers. I thought they dropped a couple of passes. The offensive line got blown up in the backfield. I mean, the interior of the offensive line has been the strength of the Browns all season. When you lose Pochich, I understand it changes things, but how many times was Nick Chubb getting hit 2, 3, 4 yards in the backfield, G. Bush? He never had he did not play a good game. I'm not defending Nick Chubb. He didn't have a lot of opportunities to make something out of nothing. Before he even had a chance to get the ball and move, he had dudes in his lap. I want to read one more super chat before you go. This is from B-Dog 21. Who do you want to replace Woods and Pre for next year? I'll go first, G. Bush. I cannot name a single special teams coordinator in the NFL or a single special teams coach, so you could pick Joe Schmo out the street, and I'll take him. As far as a defensive coordinator goes, I don't know if Brian Flores would ever want to come and be a DC on a staff, but he's my number one choice. If you want to answer that real quick before you get back.
Yeah, give me. Listen, I like Zimmer. Old school coach from Minnesota. I like Mike Singletary. I like what he brings to the table. I also love Flores. If we could get Flores and poach him up out of here, but I like all three of those guys. Because they fiery, they're hard nosed, and by the way, I wouldn't do it. No, I'm not gonna do that. I would say bring Garrett Williams back, man. I'm cool. Leave Bounty get at the crib. But I like Singletary. I like Flores, and I definitely like Zimmer.
This from Rick George here. He said my favorite play was the Wildcat. You know what's funny about the Wildcat? That whole situation, that play. They called it the Wild Chubb on TV, and I just don't think you could say Wild Chubb on TV. And the only thing worse than saying Wild Chubb on that TV was the execution of that play. Because once again, Nick Chubb took a snap, tried going left, and before he even had a chance to turn it upfield, there was 3 Bills in the backfield. It was ugly, man. There were parts of the game today that you expect the Browns to be able to compete in, whether it's the offensive line, whether it's their ability to something as simple as QB sneak it up the middle, which is what they've been so good. I mean, what was Brissett? He was, I think, 10-10 to start the season, and they've been stopped 3 times in the last 2 weeks. It is just a new thing every week that makes no sense. And this from P. Rothstein. Why are we the only team in the NFL that
I'm trying to think if he made a typo.
Yeah, I don't think he meant that. Hey, P. Rothstein 216, put a regular comment in. I'll see if I can read it. I think there's a typo. I'm not quite sure what you're asking there. So we'll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
we'll see. Yeah. You will see.
Yeah, we'll do that. And this is from G Money Uptown. Flores for head coach, Singletary for DC, and Kevin shaking my head. It could be. Like I said, Stefanski's not going anywhere. Let's at least acknowledge that. We could all complain about a lot of things that he's done in this year, but he is not leaving until Watson gets back in the field. He'll start next year. Gee, let's flip the script a little bit. Let's talk about something we haven't talked a ton about yet so far. Even when the Browns know the opponent is going to run the ball the entire second half, they don't run blitz. They don't do seemingly anything to clog the middle. And I know that falls back on Woods and coaching. And you've talked a lot about Joe Woods. You said he wants, he should have been fired last year. As a dude who played in the middle and has been in the trenches trying to stop the run, have you ever felt overmatched? Like it feels like the Browns DTs are overmatched? I got a question for you first, right? Do you know what number Jordan Elliott is?
96.
He made that play in the backfield, and I go, oh, shit. That's what number Jordan Elliott is, which
That's
means
what-
he's been invisible that long for 10 games of the season. But my question to you, though, is when you feel that, I don't want to say outmanned maybe, but overpowered in the trenches like that, what can a defense do to at least try and reinforce it to slow down the run?
Well, there's a couple of things that you can do. One of them, see, just from the perspective of they commented a lot on how fast JOK and moving all over the place is. In order for JOK to be effective, you need guys in up front that are big bodied guys that they cannot get to the next level, right? So they clog up the plays. You can't get the guys free. JOK comes in and cleans up the blitz. But the problem is they got guys like Tommy Togiai, guys that are all under 300 pounds. Jordan Elliott had to put on weight to even get over 300 pounds. To put it in perspective, I'm well over 300 pounds. I'm a civilian. I don't do nothing. Like the fact that they don't understand that concept and run small linebackers is crazy. But have I been in that situation? Heck yeah, I've been in that situation. And this is why I try to tell people why the run game is so pivotal. Because as a defensive lineman and you're up front, you know, I used to laugh and joke and feel great when people used to throw the ball on 3rd and 2. It's like I got to go up against another man. I got to get off a double team. I got to shed the double team. And I got to tackle the running back after he has a 5-yard running start. Now, if he hits me, the momentum by itself, if he's 6 foot tall, is giving him 2 to 3 yards. So I'm thinking like, it's just us up here. And the thing that we look at it a lot is either you got to be able to stop the run with numbers, right? Mm-hmm. But the Browns are not confident in their numbers. So they very rarely run blitz. They very rarely have guys coming down. And think of it, to me, they got 2 free safeties playing the position. John Johnson ain't hit nobody since he got here. I don't know what he really does except run around and talk. I don't know. I can't tell you what he does, bro. Like, and then we should have known something was up when he is the vocals. Like, think about it. How are these your captains? John Johnson just got here. How is he the spokesperson? And then you got Anthony Walker. He only been here 2 years. How is he the spokesperson?
How about this? How about in the game today when the announcer goes, Deion Jones, the veteran in the linebacker room? Deion Jones been here for 4 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. He's by no means the veteran in the linebacker room.
And he got to get cats together to say, we need to watch some extra film. And he been here all of 4 weeks and then wasn't even playing for the Falcons because he was upset. He was they had him wasn't even active. So these are the things that are very disturbing. And the defensive tackles, that lays at the feet of Andrew Berry.
Yep.
This is why when I ask people, when I say they punted on the season, there is no way you could come into the season with that level of unproven. These are historically bad defensive tackles. It's one of the worst units I've ever seen playing the game of football, covering the game of football, even watching football as a regular fan. These guys are that terrible.
Yeah. Jay Boyer says, I'm at the Maui Invitational. Tell Brad to get out here. Done with the Browns this week. Go Cavs. Hey, Jay, where's our invite, man? Me and G. Bush will come out to Maui. And P. Rothstein also got back to said, sorry, tight end. I think he asked why we're the only team in the league throwing the 3rd-string tight ends. That is it's a great question. It's a great question. I don't have the answer for you. G. Bush, to you. I got one more super chat to read when you're done.
Oh, man, go ahead. You read the super chat.
This from Spoonie. My thoughts on the first half specifically. Although the D did a decent job, they still couldn't stop Buffalo at the end of the half, allowing them to score and get the ball to begin the second half. This defense is not clutch. Yeah, well, I think we could all agree it's certainly not clutch. Look at their 4th quarter collapses late, Spoonie. We appreciate it. I also will never understand, and I mean, Stefon Diggs was so open in the end zone from the 3-yard line. It makes no sense to me how he got that wide open on the end zone. Absolutely absurd that he was just left open like that and untouched, which whatever. G, question for you though, as we start to look forward. We have one more game without Deshaun Watson before he comes back. It's against Tom Brady. It's at home. It's their first home game since Monday night, so it'll be 3 weeks, and they only have 2 home games after that. Do you expect the Browns to get booed from the get-go when they take the field?
They won't get booed, but they got a very short leash.
short leash.
And this is, and I try to give you the human part of it. Because here's your thought process when we start to now talk about moving forward. Kevin Stefanski, just like Baker Mayfield and everybody, when you're in an organization, you kind of make little missteps. Remember when Baker Mayfield was upset that he didn't play very well against the the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play well against the Lions, and he left, didn't talk to the media, and said, "I'm good," right? People, even some of the staunchest Baker supporters were like, "Dog, that was one step too far." And then the nail in the coffin was when he said, "I'm going to decide whether or not I'm going to play in that game, in the Cincinnati game, last game of the season." And the reason I'm rehashing this is because there's so many times in life you have the opportunity to learn from what the next man does. You got an opportunity to learn to what other people do. And Kevin Stefanski was part of that whole situation. They decided, oh, that was crazy. Baker Mayfield got to go, and rightfully so. But this year, Kevin Stefanski seems to be making all of the mistakes that Baker Mayfield is making. It's the optics, my guy. You are here, and we all know that Woods is supposed to have been gone. And for every week that you keep him around, your leash gets shorter.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he believes that he's not tied at the waist to a guy who's a subordinate of his. And all you got to do is understand that if you come out there and it's the first game in a while, they're going to boo. They're going to boo quickly. Yeah. And because, there's a lot of people like myself that are just tired of it. I can't even really watch football that much because it just seems like, and I get it. I understand that people out there don't. But look, I'm here to tell the truth. I'm not here to kiss people's ass. I'm not here to try to join the fan club. If you want to be a fan and just wear your gear, wear your hat, and go to the tailgates and have fun, sure. I'm never going to begrudge you before that. But if you're getting on the timelines talking about y'all way too negative and you guys should be, it ain't that bad, that's where I got a problem. That's where I got to say, well, let the real football cats deal with the football. Because obviously you're not watching the game. You're here to wave pom-poms and do all this rah-rah stuff when it's evident. This team has regressed. They wasted a season. They didn't do anything about it. And next year or during the offseason, we'd be wise to not let them off the hook because Barry didn't show up this year. Stefanski didn't show up this year. And the defense and the special teams did not show up this year. So when they tell us all this good stuff and rah-rah, we don't want to hear you. Don't come on the radio stations. Don't show up with the propaganda. Just get it done, fellas, because you're on the clock. Y'all got the first 6 games with Deshaun Watson. And I'm the first person to say it right over here, this guy. If the first 6 games of 2023 look bad, Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry will be looking for new jobs.
Listen, I got to do some meal prepping a little bit, G. I'm going to boil some water, and that's how hot Stefanski's seat's going to be to start next season. No matter how the end of the season ends, it's going to start boiling. And he can only turn it down. His seat cannot get hotter entering next season, regardless of how Deshaun Watson plays, because all the pressure's on next year. And Jason Lloyd has said this on the show since the preseason, when the suspension for Deshaun Watson got bumped up from 6 games to 11 games, and they decided not to go for Jimmy Garoppolo, and decided to roll the table with Jacoby Brissett. The Browns essentially admitted they were punting on this season. And for 2 reasons, we see that happen now. A, they did not go out and sign anybody to bolster the defensive line.
None.
And granted, they have cap space and they don't want to roll it over to next year because that's when Deshaun Watson's contract bumps up from $1 million to $48 million. And they don't want to mess with that. They could have fixed it. They did not. And then 2, they have not made a move at defensive coordinator or special teams coordinator.
None.
They need to let these 2 guys come back regardless of performance and say, you know what? You're a guy at the end of the year. We're going to run with it. We're going to roll with it. And this is what it is. I look at those 2 moves, and I did not want to believe it when Jason said this at first, but I think Jason is right. They didn't give a crap about this season. They were hopeful optimists that they could somehow be 6-5 or 5-6 when Watson comes back, and then Watson comes in and saves the day. But the reality of this team without Watson, take him out the picture, the team, the 53-man roster that we are looking at right now is not good enough to compete for a playoff spot. They're just simply not, and they avoided addressing the two biggest needs because they didn't think they'd be in a position to financially afford it next season when Watson's cap goes up. This loss wasn't on Jacoby Brissett. The offense put up a lot of garbage time stats, but I tell you that this loss was not on the defense. This loss was more on the offense than the defense, in my opinion. Brissett put up some garbage time stats, but for the most part, they didn't move the ball at all. And when you look at the totality of the season, I'm going to run down the schedule. I want to play a game with you real quick.
All right.
You ready for this?
Yep.
Let's blame the offense, defense, special teams on their losses this year. You ready?
Okay.
The New York Jets, did they lose that game because of offense or defense?
Defense
and special teams, correct?
Defense and special teams, right?
Atlanta, offense, defense, special teams.
That's defense.
I go both ways. I think, yeah. I say
the reason I say defense is they gave up almost 200 yards on the ground, and they only threw the ball 7 times, and Cordell Patterson was not playing.
You're right. Nope, you're right. I forgot Mario only threw the ball 7 times. The Chargers, offense or defense?
That was defense.
To me, that's defense. They scored 28 points. You should win a game when you score 28 points. So far, we'll keep track. We have 3 losses on the defense, 0 on the offense. New England, 38-15.
Bro, I mean, you got 15 points, my G. You got 15 points.
I think it's on both. They were both atrocious in that game.
Yeah,
we'll give them both one. That's a half point.
We'll give them one, right?
Baltimore lost 23-20. To me, that's more on the offense.
Baltimore 20. Well, you said, well, hold on. Baltimore, what was the score that again?
23-20.
23-20.
To me, that's on the offense. I thought the defense played relatively well in that game.
I thought that was one of the better defensive games they played. Yep. I think they corralled them. Okay, I give you that. Offense,
Miami.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Oh,
defense. And then today, I think you could split hairs. I think this might be another half-half. I lean a little more towards the offense.
But here's the thing: the offense, I would give them half and half because the offense looked good for like 5 seconds, and the defense looked okay for about 5 seconds, and then they just got them out.
So my point with that is, you take the 2 halves and combine them. They have 7 losses this year. 2 have been on the offense, or really 1 and then 2 halves, and then 4 have been on the defense and 2 halves. When you look at it, Watson coming back is not going to save the season, even if they were in a better spot, because the other issues are not on the offense. And that is what I think we missed earlier in the season as a collective unit of media, myself included, as a collective thing here. The defense, which we thought was going to be top 5 in the league, has just been pitiful, man. It's been pitiful.
We got a couple crazy super chats. I think it was a $50 one. It's a couple 10 ones. We'll see if we can find those and put them out.
We did. That was Spoonie was the $50. We appreciated Spoonie.
Appreciate you, man.
I don't think we've missed. I think we've read them all so far, Jay. I don't think we've missed any yet.
Maybe I might be kind of close. I might be behind
you. You might be a little behind. Yeah, I'm going back. I don't think we've missed any yet.
But here's where I guess what I'm saying is, in my frustration level is with the whole Watson situation is this. You know, when you are playing a game, and this is anywhere in life, if you are not doing what your job is that you are brought here to do, you can't depend on somebody else coming in and masking the deficiencies that you have. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you already can't hold leads. You already can't stop the run. Your special teams is non-existent. You a lot of the different things are already there built into the program. Why would you believe that you're going to bring somebody from the outside to cover those deficiencies rather than attacking him and figuring those out during the process when you don't have Deshaun Watson? Because guess what? Deshaun Watson can come back and play very well, and then give you this false sense of security that, hey, everything is solved until you play a good team, until you play another coach that's sound, until you play another team that exploits you and uncovers these and say, oh, you guys thought you fixed this? No, you didn't. rub some of this dirt off, and under the surface, just lying right under the surface, is those same things that have been plaguing this organization for the last 3 years. So, to me, it's unacceptable to come to every press conference and say, we got to put it behind us in this league. We just got to learn how to keep going, or we got a quick win coming up. To me, that's unacceptable, because you're basically telling the whole fan base, screw you guys. We know what we're doing. Screw you guys. You guys are Browns fans, and they prey on that. The Browns are one of the most loyal fan bases in the game. I was out at a restaurant establishment with my wife, and I heard people running around saying, "Oh man, we got to get to the game." They was acting like this was the Super Bowl. I'm like, these young dudes, it had to be between the ages of, I would say, probably 21 to 26. These young dudes were so happy that they could get a road trip, a holiday game or something, and they was talking about the plans of not going to work on Monday. And I'm just sitting there to myself, and I tapped my wife. I said, look, these fools over here, they don't even act like they 3 and 6. They going up there to go to see a funeral. They don't even know it. But they count on that. They count on that from you guys to continually support with no get back, listen, you put money, you put time, you put energy. They give you nothing back. And at least when they go to these press conferences, the least they could do is show you a little bit of respect and show you a little bit of decency and say, you know what? It's not good enough. This position group got to get better. We got to do this. And trust me, we will hold the people accountable who aren't doing it. But every time you run your friend out there, because I know what it is, coaching is a fraternity. That's your friend. And you scared to tell your friend he unemployed during Christmas time. So you're going to wait it out to I'm going to wait it to December. I ain't going to tell him Thanksgiving coming up and we're going to eat dinner together. See, that's what I'm telling y'all. It's either I fire my brother and tell him, hey, you know what the medium job income is? I'll hire you back somewhere else. But we can't do it right now. And you already rich. You'll be fine. You ain't gonna skip no meal. But I can't sit up here and watch this week after week after week after week. And then it's just, hey, it's the Cleveland Browns. Come on, man. Come on, do better.
The press conferences are, I don't know if pathetic's the word I want to use, G, but they take us for dummies. And I understand Stefanski's thing is I don't want to say anything that's going to be a headline. I don't want to say anything that'll be bulletin board material. But at some point, you do have to take accountability because you are the head coach of this team, and everything that comes out on the field should be something that you put your stamp of approval on. And if this is the level of standard that Stefanski's willing to put his stamp of approval on, then simply that's not good enough. Offensively, defensively, special teams. It's just not acceptable. And he's never going to come out, and Belichick's the same way. He's never going to come out and say, this is exactly what needs to happen. This is what I want to change. This guy didn't do enough. But, and you could, and I know sometimes you say, we got to ask the right questions. These dudes are so trained media-wise to avoid and deflect that you could ask the most point-blank question. Why is Joe Woods still employed? And he'll be like, the weather outside is fine. That's like,
McNuggets, let me tell you what this too, right? And I say that, and to be fair to the media guys out there, what people don't know is the Cleveland Browns are a sensitive organization. They hear what you say. Mm-hmm. So if you were on the beat and you a reporter out there, you got to get good with people so they'll give you any stories. You'll get any news, anything, right? If you ask certain questions, they'll freeze you out. You ask certain questions, you won't get interviews. You ask certain questions, all of a sudden, they're contentious. They won't go to you in the huddle, in the scrum. So you know what? To be fair, I'll give them whatever that is. I'll give them a pass on that. But here's the thing. That means I just got to be the bad guy. That means the people that's on the tertiary parts, that's in the internet, that's doing stuff, you got to be the part. And that's why I go so hard at people that they want to tell, hey, don't be so negative. Look, man, I got a job to do. If they're not asking them questions, I'm going to ask the questions. And it ain't all about you liking somebody or the Browns. Everybody knows that we want the Cleveland Browns to win. Everybody. You think we sit here? You know how good our ratings would be? You know how great our show would be?
Well, people ask me, are you a Browns fan yet? And I go, listen, winning is good for me. Yeah, I want the Browns to win. Hell yeah, I'm a Browns fan. Like, business is good when teams win, whether it's the Guardians, the Cavs, Ohio State, especially the Browns. It is good not just for our show, it is good for the entire city.
City.
The city.
The city get people when they win, the restaurants get overflow. When they win, all of a sudden the city want to put dollars into making downtown look good or keeping something open or throwing a block party over here. When they win, that means that the team's got extra money. They can go do community outreach. They can, all these things help our community. Why would we want to sit up here and talk bad about the Browns when some people got this tatted on them? Some people's best memories of their lives is with watching how many sons talk about when they could watch the game with their dad? All of us do. My dad getting old too. You know, like, it's crazy. I just sat up here and thought I had a birthday. I'm 41. I'm like, dang, I'm doing the math. My dad almost 70. You know what I'm saying? COVID came around. I'm like, dang, COVID came and everybody's sick. I'm like, bro, that's one of the first things. It's so crazy. It's one of the first things I thought about when COVID hit. I'm like, dog, man, we might be up out of here and we might not even see these cats win. And I felt bad about it. Like, it wasn't nothing more to life than that. Like that's the first thing you think about if you get sick and you go, man, I ain't even gonna be able to see the Browns host that trophy. That's messed up, bro. And look, we can complain all we want. We ain't turning it off. We'll be right back here doing the same thing. But all I'm saying is, don't get on us for being real. We just keeping it real. If it ain't good enough, it ain't good enough. So, you know, I would love for Coach Stefanski to turn over tomorrow and say, you know what? I'm going to change this X, Y, B, and C. But at the end of the day, every man has a way. Every man has an opportunity to change his path. He can shut me up right now, just the way Jacoby Brissett shut us up. Play well, and we won't say nothing, but clap it up. Good job, Coach. That's all we'll say.
So we got a question for the chat. I want to ask you guys, and we'll read some answers here. Today's loss, 31-23. Do you blame it more on the offense or the defense, and why? We'll read a couple answers here in a sec. G. Bush, as far as winning goes, and I'm waiting to see some answers come in, then we'll get back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much more fun it is to talk about a team that wins? Do you know how depressing it is from our standpoint to have to talk about the same issues week in and week out, and the same story? Mary Kay's writing the same stories, and it's so much more fun to talk about a team that wins. So anyone who doesn't think we're out here rooting for the Browns, it is good on every level for us to win. Hey, in the chat, give us a reason why, offense or defense, who you blame more on this. And we'll read a couple in a sec. But it hurts me as someone new to Cleveland and still learning this culture and the people here. Y'all have been through so much and have seen so much, I guess, pain from sports, I guess is the way to put it. Like, there hasn't been a lot of winning in Cleveland. I don't know how to put it any other way. So when the team is this close to being good, and I don't think they're that far away from being good. Like I said earlier, I think they lost this game more than the Bills beat them today. When they're this close and you see the Jets game, you see the Falcons game, it hurts that much more because they're right there. Like, it's crazy that 3-7 team, I think you could say, is right. I do think they're kind of right there. I really do. And G, if you want to go on that for a sec, I will go through and read a couple comments here.
Yeah.
I really do think they're right there, man.
The part that hurts is, you know, before the season, we do the schedule game, right? And I tell every single year there's somebody that's going to go from worst to first. There's always going to be a team that's not no good, right? That they're going to come in and do it. Think about this. Man, the Jets, they got 6 wins. The Patriots with
7.
The Patriots with a second-year quarterback, right? They smoked us. They put 41 on us with Mac Jones. Then they got another quarterback, Zappy. He came in and put 40 on us at our spot. So what you start to feel like is we lose to every new coach, every new coordinator, every like, think about it. The Bengals, you get laughed at like we do. And that's why I argue back and forth with Bull all the time. I'm like, Bull, you got to understand. You telling us to be patient. You telling us to chill. You telling us, giving us the bright side. You can't give us the bright side when the Cubs done won a World Series and the Cincinnati Bengals done been to the Super Bowl 3 times. You can't nobody tell no Browns fan to chill. They don't have the right to tell you to be patient no more, because we've been patient and we watch Zach, what's his name?
Zach Wilson.
We
Or
let
Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi.
Zach Wilson, the MILF Hunter himself. He's out. MILF Hunter's having a great year, and we just got to sit back and wait. Josh Allen, right? Mary Kay just wrote an article about Josh Allen, right? And we took Baker. It's like, dude, we can't get right. Our best, one of our only 3 or 4 Hall of Famers is Ozzie Newsome. He goes to Baltimore and becomes the best GM we've ever seen, and they win a Super Bowl just 4 years after they walked up out of Cleveland. That hurts, bro. It's still there.
I'm going to read some answers here to our question, G. Bush. This from Bitter True Show. Definitely the offense. Stefanski made some boneheaded offensive plays, play calls that cost them the game. We have a bunch of Stefanskis. This one comes from Tafster 1. I blame Stefanski. Awful play calling as usual. Kevin, this is from In a Straitjacket. Kevin 15 Woods. Joe Woods prevent defense cost them. This is a defensive answer from ours. Beacham defense. We couldn't stop the other team from scoring. They did score on 6 straight possessions. Not great down the stretch. We've had a lot of both BE from Nova, excuse me. This loss. We had a couple special teams. The whole team's at fault. We got a ton of answers. We appreciate all you guys out here. Kia Adams says both sides sucked. That's heartbringer. The Bills imposed their will. Offense wasn't great, but they played well enough to win. We got a ton of answers here. I wish I could read them absolutely all. We got some DJ Lord Jazz says special teams is in there. Yep. G Monkey again. G Money. They gave up 6 field goals. I blame the offense. I kind of agree. And the offensive stats at the end of the day, G Bush, I'm going to read you these numbers. Tell me if it feels like these numbers are right or wrong. These are all right, by the way. Tell me if these feel right. Brissett threw for 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Told you, man.
It's all false. It's all
fool's gold.
Fool's gold. So yes, you can look at the numbers, and that's how you know it's 2 garbage time touchdowns. That's why today I blame the defense. I blame the offense more than the defense. If you can hold the Bills to 6 field goals and 2 touchdowns, I know it's a lot of rushing yards, but that offense until the first 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes were good. The whole middle part of the game was terrible.
Sound. Even with those stats, they were soundly defeated. If you watch that game, that's why it's difficult to just look at the stats. You have to watch the flow of the game, the pace of the game, what happened, and you can plainly see that there was 2 different levels. The Browns couldn't stop anybody when it counted, and the Bills were never pressed in this game. Besides, I think after they fumbled the ball.
Yeah, that fumble was the turning point in the game. I think that was where everything kind of flipped on its head. And I'll go back to what I said earlier. Cleveland was driving to put the nail, I don't say the nail in the coffin, but to put the first stake in Dracula's heart there. They had a chance to go up 17-3. 17-3 on the Bills, a team that was not ready to play yet, and they fumbled. We got a super chat here from CJO6 indeed. Thank you for suffering with us. McNuggets and G Bush, the only thing between me and an entire bottle of Jack Daniel. Hey, we got the Cavs tonight, guys. We do have the Cavs tonight.
You saved me. Yes, sir. Yes,
I'll be there tonight.
I forgot about that.
The Cavs?
I forgot the Cavs was playing tonight. That's the only thing I got to look forward to.
If anyone sees me out there, give me a shout out and I'll send you a t-shirt.
Who they got tonight?
Yeah. They got the Heat. My buddy's an assistant coach in the Heat, so I'll be down.
And I hate the Heat too.
I forget what section I'm in, but I'll be down in the lower section. My buddy hooked me up with some tickets. So
you see me tonight,
I'll be rocking the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show shirt. We'll send them out. Also, if you're not already a subscriber, make sure you guys subscribe Monday through Friday, 11 to 1 p.m. It is me, G. Bush, Adam the Bull, Jay Crawford, DeQuell Jackson, Tim Couch, a rotating cast of superstars you can become a member too. We appreciate it. We'll do some super chats as well. We'll add them in. G. Bush, we got about 5 minutes left here. Do you got another question you want to ask our audience here? We got over 1,000 people in the chat after a loss. This is why Browns fans are built different. This is why you guys are the best.
Before I say that,
so
before I say this, man, I want to thank you guys for your generosity. A lot of times people think that, hey, you guys aren't here begging for money. No. We are an independent outfit, right? We're trying to give you unique content, and God, it's your show. right? It's the community show. We on here right now. There's 1,000 people in here, and we thank you for supporting the show by your super chats. That's why we try to do a good job of reading those, because we do appreciate you supporting the show, and that's what it's all about. So I want to thank every single person that super chat. Doesn't matter. Don't matter if it's $1 or 50 cents or whatever. And even if you don't donate on the super chat, one of the best ways to get our show out is to subscribe and hit the like button when you're in here. So if we can get over 1,000 likes.
Tell your friends about it. Tell your friends about it. If they don't know, tell your friends about it.
Tell your people about it.
And one more thing, just so you guys know, little behind the scenes thing from me and G. Bush. When there's 4 of us in here, it's a lot harder to get a word in, just so you guys know. So we listen, the chat goes flying. I'm trying to handle Bull. I'm trying to handle Jeff's internet stuff. Like, we love Jeff and Bull, like, great guys, but sometimes stuff gets missed. It's never intentional. I promise you it's never intentional. When it's just me and G. Bush, we got more time to interact with you guys. And also, we love interacting with you guys. Trust us. This is our favorite part of the show, is getting to meet and interact with people who, when I was out in the club this weekend and with a girl, and this dude goes, "Yo, you're McNuggets, right?"
Right.
Best night ever. If y'all see us, say what's up, please. Like,
yes, pull up,
please.
The question I do have for the chat.
Oh, wait, G. Bush, before you go, Black Diamond wants to know, what is UCSS schedule this week? While we got 1,000 people in, let me just tell y'all. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, completely regular. 11 to 1 p.m., completely regular. Thursday, we're going to tape a show on Tuesday afternoon. It's going to be about 45 minutes to an hour. We'll do some Browns preview, some Buckeyes preview, but it's taped on Tuesday. We're not going to talk any Cavs or other stuff because so much changes. We're going to do the stuff we know. And Friday, we're going to do a show just like this, like a post-game show. It'll be me, G, Bull, and Jay on it for, 30, 45 minutes previewing the games this weekend. We're doing a post-game show for Ohio State and a post-game show for the Browns. Ohio State, Michigan, on a holiday weekend, we are out here trying to help you guys out, get the content, not the confidence. Well, hopefully we give you confidence in what's going to happen this week. But we're going to get out there, do our best. G. Bush, one last question for the people still around. What's up?
So we're looking at this, man. Going into the Deshaun Watson games, because to me, I've split it up into 2 different scenarios. What are you looking to see from the offense with Deshaun Watson? I think it's very important that we designate and how this thing is going to flow. Because to me, I'm going to be looking at it like this. If we run a lot of play action, if we running that kind of stuff with Jacoby Brissett, do you expect that Stefanski should be running the same type of plays, or do you want to see a drastically different playbook? I'll give you a case in point. The Miami Dolphins, they run a lot of counter motion. They run a lot of things. They do a lot of different motions. They do misdirection. They got 4 wide sets. Is that something you want to see with Deshaun Watson, or are you still going to say, okay, well, our offense is the play action, move it down the field? What are you guys expecting to see from Deshaun Watson and Kevin Stefanski in this offense?
Yeah, I can't wait to see, especially how they try to incorporate the RPO game into this offense, because we just haven't seen it yet. And we have never seen Kevin Stefanski use an RPO offense in his career going back to Minnesota. So I'm fascinated to see what he can pull out of his bag of tricks. I hope it's a bag of tricks. I hope it's not a bag of Lucky Charms. I hope it's a real bag of magic in there. And we see some stuff coming out here. Ryan Audenberg says, "Thanks, G. Bush, for telling it as it is. We appreciate it. You make Sundays tolerable after Browns games. We appreciate it." We want to see. Here's what I want to see. I want to see RPOs, and I want to see them be able to. Consistency is not the right word because the offense hasn't been bad, but I want to be able to mix it up and dominate. I want to see if the pass game's working. I know we all want Nick Chubb to get all these carries. If Watson's slinging a rock, I don't give a crap how many carries he gets.
No,
sling the rock, go with the hot hand. And now it's Stefanski. He has 2 different hot hands to play. Go with what your better matchup is. When you play the Browns, even if you're a passing team, you run the ball down their throat because the DTs are terrible. Now the Browns have 2 legitimate ways that I feel confident in having them attack an opposing defense. I want Stefanski to play to his matchups better. And G. Bush, you go. I'm going to go find some comments. We'll read some comments. We'll head out of here.
Here's what I would tell you. I would go to Nick Chubb and I'll ask him, "Hey, look, Nick, hey, we got a plan for you." I put a red shirt on Nick Chubb after this season. Like, I want to see what he got. I want to see what him and Kareem Hunt got together. But if your boy Deshaun Watson is slinging the pill, this is an opportunity to find out two to three things. A, what's up with Jerome Ford? Is he good or not? We need to figure out if he good. Second thing is Schwartz not good because it's Brissett, or is Schwartz just not good? Period.
Brissett's made DPJ look good. He made Cooper look good today. You're right. We'll find out. We'll get an answer.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We also want to find out, does Donovan Peoples-Jones have that same level of chemistry with Deshaun Watson, and can he be unlocked a little more? Like, he looked good now. Trust me, I don't have no problems with Donovan Peoples-Jones. There's one bright side to this season, and I would say it's MJ Emerson and it's DPJ. That's it. Those are bright sides. And I want to see how we could get Amari Cooper once again, because Cooper, I'll give it, Cooper and Jacoby, they got a decent little feel for one another. For me, I want to see exactly all that they got. I want to see all the throws from Watson. I want to see the 2-minute drill. I want to see the hurry up. I want to see the RPO. I want to see the quick game. I want to see some read option on the goal line. I want to see all that. All of whatever Stefanski got in his Madden playbook, get it ready for 6 games. And that because here's the thing, and we'll get to your questions. If Deshaun Watson plays well, he could actually salvage the season.
Well, we're gonna talk about that tomorrow, probably Tuesday. That's a topic for Tuesday, G. Bush. We're gonna get some internet reactions to that. If Deshaun Watson plays well, do you care about the first 11 games of the season? We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that on Tuesday. I don't want to get to it now. Siege says, quick thoughts on the draft of Cade York. We're gonna end with that, G. Bush. So I'm gonna get to Siege. We see you. We're gonna end with that. Here's some internet answers to the question we asked about what you want to see from Deshaun Watson in this offense. Straight Jacket says, I want to see some Andy Reid plays.
There you go. That's what I like.
I'm expecting to see the same offense because Watson's not ready. El Carcass says, I need to see Stefanski adjust to his talent. He has failed to improve his plays to the talent and see Schwartz on the practice squad. Pizza Batman, not as positive. I expect to see failure. It is what it is. This is M. Mustakic. I want Watson audibling out of Stefanski's moronic play calls to good plays, jawed up in the dirt. We'll see if that happens. Yeah. So this is where we're at. What about Cade York, real quick? That was our last super chat. What do you think about Cade York, real quick?
I'm not going to pretend that I'm some sort of special teams guru, but it seems like he's kicking the ball kind of low. You shouldn't, your trajectory on a ball, sometimes when you got to kick it from 50 yards out, you got to drive the ball to get it the distance. So sometimes you're going to be kicking the ball and it's going to be a little lower, which is more susceptible to blocks. You see more blocks when it's past 50 yards. When you're 34 yards, that's supposed to be money bags. You ain't. That trajectory is supposed to be high, man. That you can't be kicking line drives like that. Like, that's supposed to be money. And he's had a lot of kicks that are like that. But here's the thing about kickers, man. Like, he's a rookie kicker. If you expected the rookie kicker to save you, yeah, you in trouble to start with. I don't believe it. I think he'll be fine next year. But next year the crowd gets louder for him because next year, hopefully with Deshaun Watson, you're going to be in a lot of these games. And if you're in a lot of these games, that means our expectation level is when you are kicking in pressure situations, these are going through the nets because the games are going to be more high stake next year for everybody involved because of the way this year went. I
agree. It's too early to ever judge a guy. I think he's made some big kicks. He's missed some easy kicks. He gets next year, and we'll see what happens. We got one more super chat that's coming in late here, and then we do got to run. We're reaching the 1 minute mark, the 1 hour mark. Watson with Chubb and Hunt, make the defense pick how you beat them, take advantage of Njoku, Hunt on linebackers as they go big, running them so they go small. Unfortunately, Chad, ain't no shot in hell that Kareem Hunt is back with his team next year. He's a free agent. They can't afford to pay him. So maybe that's Jerome Ford. Maybe it's Chubb and Ford, and we get that combination. But without
I want to see what it looked like.
Yeah. So that is the last thing. I did see one comment in here. I got one more thing I wanted to read, and I lost it. I wish there was a way. Oh, G. Bush, this is from Robert Bills. Great question. If Stefanski is fired, if he goes 2-4 or 1-5 with Watson next year, the answer is yes. If they start the season 2-4, 1-5, he is gone. And lastly, this is a personal one here, G. Someone asked me if I regret giving up college basketball. The answer is no, not yet. But there's some good games coming up that I definitely want to tune into. I just don't know anyone anymore. So, yeah, I'm starting
tough.
to miss it a little bit.
Everybody is in the portal. So
yeah, I just can't follow it as easily.
It's hard to follow, right? It's hard to follow, man.
It is what it is. But hey, that is the post-game show. Bull, we'll see you next week. Jeff should be back next week as well. We appreciate you guys. Thank you. And it was Tequila Mockingbird who asked the question. Great handle. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for kicking it with G and I. We appreciate the super chats. We appreciate everything. You guys, once again, are the best. If you see me at the game tonight, say what's up. If you see G Bush out in the streets, he's a man of the people. You can't miss him. He's like 17 feet tall and 320 pounds. He's the biggest man you've ever seen that you don't know is that big.
Up giant
say what's up to him.
Yeah,
and we will see you guys Monday, tomorrow, 11 to 1 p.m. And I'll post the rest of the week's schedule for the show on Twitter. But for G Bush,
and by the way, McNuggets, we just set a record for super chats in one show. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome, man. We appreciate you.
Love you guys. Have a good one.
Peace.